All right, now joining me to preview the NBA Finals from ESPN's Tim Legler. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm great. Good to be with you.
All right, so we're going to talk about what needs to happen if the Knicks win the NBA Finals. So first question for you. If the Knicks win the Finals, what's the story of the series?
I think the story of the series is that they were able, I think, three-point shooting is going to be a huge part of the series. I think their volume is going to be up. They're going to have to make their share. I think one of the storylines, if they win it, will be Knicks three-point shooting. Like, that's coming out of games in which they win, because I just think against the Spurs team, the way that the Knicks have been operating their offense, which has been historic in the postseason, particularly during this run, 11 games, points in the paint at a premium for them. It's a lot harder to come by against this team. So where does it come from? Even transition points, which the Knicks have dominated, harder to come by against this team. So then where do you make that up? For me, it's a three-point shooting. I think it's an area that you can attack the Spurs, and those guys are going to have to step into and make them the confidence, and it's all of them across the board. I know Josh Hart's going to get his share because of the way they're going to kind of basically concede that shot early and see how that feels for him. But it's everybody. It's OG Anunoby. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think his shots per game is going to have to go up in this series, and they're going to have to make their share to make the Spurs pay for loading up on the paint the way they do.
We saw during their regular season matchups, granted it's not the same as what it will be in the finals, Wemby sometimes just straight up ignoring Josh Hart.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine they're going to try to use him in action sometimes to get Wemby directly involved in this series. For Josh Hart, I would imagine he needs to have a massive series. He needs to be their Andre Iguodala. Should he win MVP? That type of thing, right?
Well, look, I think as being on the broadcast, I think, yes. I think for the Knicks to win, we're going to have to be saying Josh Hart's name a lot.
Yes.
In a good way. And I think him directly involved as the ball screener, you're going to see that if Wemby's guarding him. The most ball screens he set in a game, I believe, was against the Spurs when they employed this strategy, because when you set the screen and Wemby's guarding you, and Brunson comes off that screen, you're engaging Wemby to guard that and to be further out on the court. And now the ball, and then he can slip out Josh to the three-point line. Brunson can reverse it to that side of the floor. Wemby's starting at a position now from 25 to 30 feet, rotating back to the lane. You've at least got him out of the paint initially. Now you got to win those 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s on the weak side. And maybe that's as simple as just kicking it to Josh Hart for a shot. But the best way for Josh to attack that coverage is to go be an initial ball screener for Jalen Brunson to engage Wemby and force him to have to play that ball screen.
What are some of the things you see the Spurs do defensively to keep Wemby as the low man on defense?
Yeah, I think what they're really good at, and it's incredible, his maturity and leadership as a backline defender. Those are the guys that have everything in front of them and they could see. So when he's edge of the lane and Josh Hart's down there and Josh Hart goes up to set the screen and Wemby starts to run up there with him, he's really good at on the fly grabbing another defender and running him over there, kind of creating that switch in real time. They're very good at doing that. So I think part of the offensive success of the Knicks is going to be how can they get them to not communicate that as well, or where Wemby's in the prime spot to defend the paint just by simply handing off Josh Hart to somebody else if he goes and sets the screen. It's a chess match, I think, for Mike Brown and the Knicks offense.
I would imagine the Knicks are probably going to have to play fast to try to get some cross matches, get them out of their ideal positions, right?
Yeah, look, fortunately for the Knicks, their defense is playing at peak level. So that they're playing elite level on both ends. It's not just the offense, which has been incredible. Their defense equally as good. So now that means more opportunities, get the ball off the glass and go. At least put an early surge up the floor to create cross matches, and to be able to attack before everybody's back looking at the ball and then Wemby's back where he wants to be, because every guy on the Knicks, and particularly the main ball handlers like Brunson, are going to tell you it doesn't look like this against any other team when he's back there. So the sooner you can get up the floor, get into early hits, early actions, definitely going to benefit the Knicks.
Now, you mentioned the ball handlers on the Knicks. One of the thoughts on my mind when it comes to this series and how it could result is that we just saw the Thunder take the Spurs to 7 games without Jalen Williams, without A.J. Mitchell. And the Knicks, top to bottom in their rotation, is full of ball handlers, guys who can create from different areas of the floor, different skill sets, different styles. Mikal Bridges, pull-up master. OG Anunoby can attack a closeout with power, can hit spot-up threes. Of course, Karl-Anthony Towns can play make from the middle of the floor, and Brunson is going to do what he does, never mind the role players off the bench as well. The Knicks feel like they have the formula on paper with their points of attack all over the floor to try to attack the Spurs in different ways.
I totally agree with that. Like, you have to have a script against this team. And so the two things for me that are going to travel well, if you have to go on the road and win a game, and also just against an elite team, you need You need balance in terms of who can attack. And the Knicks right now have more balance than they've had at any point since Jalen Brunson came to New York. And that's been a big part of this run. It hasn't been about Jalen Brunson just putting a team on his back. Like, their balance across the board, to have 5 starters in particular in this kind of offensive rhythm at the same time, is almost unprecedented. And so that is good for them because you can attack from different areas. Even something as simple as if the Spurs are going to pick you up 75 feet, which they like to do, with whether it's Castle, Champagny will do it, Vassell will do it, Dylan Harper will do it, Fox, you're Jalen Brunson, you don't have to work against that. Give it up, particularly if Wemby is going to be back at the top of the key on the other end of the floor. Let Josh Hart advance the ball. No problem. Nothing lost there. Jalen Brunson conserves your energy. Now go get it back into possession in the area of the floor where you can attack. So I think that their balance being this good coming into the series against a team like this defensively gives them their best shot.
Is there anything the Knicks should be trying to do to get Wemby onto Cat? Is there any advantage to the Knicks side if they try to that?
I don't. Yeah, that's. I don't. It's easier said than done, and I don't know. Like, here's the thing with karl-Anthony Towns. I think if Wemby's guarding him, the one thing that I think is an advantage for them, if they can create that matchup, Wemby's natural inclination from anywhere on the floor, flood to the paint on penetration, right? Flood to when he sees it. It's just his body's gonna, like most shot blockers, they're running to the lane. Well, now you're guarding one of the elite shooting 7-footers in this league. It's a big recovery, whether it's for Wemby or somebody else smaller where Cat's not affected. You'd want Wemby on that closeout. That's a lot of ground to cover because this guy's a threat from 25 feet. That's a lot for him to be able to do. And the other area that's good for the Knicks, if they can get that matchup, on the closeout, if it is Wemby to Cat, Cat is really good at putting his head down against closeouts, getting his shoulder into you and drawing fouls on the way to the rim. I think you got to get Wemby off the floor if you're the Knicks, if you can. Find a way to get this guy in foul trouble. It's hard because he's so long, he can back up and still create havoc. But karl-Anthony Towns is that guy that could put his head down on a straight line drive, get his body into you as you're closing out at him, and draw that contact that could lead to a foul at the rim. And I think it's an important part of the series.
The anti-Chet.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Oh, no question about it.
That was
particularly the way Chet finished out. You know, shook doesn't begin to describe like what he was experiencing. That's not going to be the case, I don't think, with karl-Anthony Towns. He's going to be ready for that challenge, and he's got to be smart about how he goes about attacking him. If he sees he has a leverage advantage, you've got to get into his body, and you've got to figure out a way to force him to hit you so that maybe you can get a foul on him. It's a better way to negate shot blocking anyway.
For a guy in karl-Anthony Towns who never had a defensive reputation, well, the Wolves beat the Nuggets with Cat defending Jokic in that series, Gobert helping off ball a lot. In this playoff, Cat has been outstanding defensively. What has Cat done well in this postseason on the defensive end of the floor?
Oh, I just think, well, first of all, I want to give him a pat on the back for this because I think a big part of defense and the way you're regarded is ability to finish possessions, which means securing defensive rebounds. To karl-Anthony Towns' credit, even nights throughout the regular season, before they figured out this offense, and he feels more included now, and he feels really good about himself, even though his shots and points came down. They've accomplished something strange for a 20-point scorer, like less shots, less points. Cool with that? Yeah, if I could touch the ball 20 more times and be appreciated, absolutely. So they've pulled it off somehow. But for me, so let's start with that to answer your question. The defensive rebounding, consistent, always. This guy's going to give you 11 on a bad night, 15 on a good night. Pencil it in. It's a big part of their defensive possessions. But I also think as the playoffs have worn on, he's just gotten a lot more judicious about how hard he's hedging on ball screens and picking up those cheap fouls when he hedges too hard and then the guard turns a corner and he bumps his hip and they hit him with that foul. He gets a couple of those a game. It takes him off the floor. Much smarter about that. Just been very active. Their whole team just so connected on both ends. Chemistry's off the charts. They're having fun. Winning kind of leads to that. And now they just have this incredible belief that they're going to figure it out on a given night on one end of the floor or the other.
Why do you feel like everybody's picking the Spurs in this series? It seems like most pundits are leaning towards San Antonio pretty heavily.
I think a lot of people are still falling into the regular season mindset. And even if you went back 6 weeks ago, which the narrative was whoever wins the West is your NBA champion. And there was a time even Denver was even included in that. When people were like, well, Denver, San Antonio, OKC, whoever wins it, foregone conclusion, because you looked at the East. No Tatum. Okay, so Boston was in a different category. You didn't really believe in Cleveland because of what happened to them in the last couple of years. Detroit, you looked at and you knew there were holes offensively. That left the Knicks. You knew they were a good team, but you felt like any of those four could beat each other. So I think what had to happen for a lot of people, it certainly did for me, was not only do you have to win the East in convincing fashion, you have to play at such an elite level that you actually now convince people that there is a worthy opponent coming out of the East to go toe-to-toe with either of those two teams. And the Knicks have created that. That's what they've developed into. And I think some people are still just stuck in that idea of what they had all year, that whoever wins the West is your NBA champion. And maybe it ends up that way. I'm certainly not here to predict anything. I think we're going to get a great series, compelling. Will not be surprised if either of these teams wins this.
I mean, I think the Knicks are undoubtedly a worthy opponent. And I think we are going to set up for a potentially epic series.
Yeah, I think it could be.
I mean, it's just so intriguing from so many different levels. I mean, we didn't even talk about like offensive rebounding.
Yeah.
We saw the Thunder, as that series wore on, try to like picking up second chances. The Knicks are one of the better offensive rebounding
And that's why
teams.
Mitchell Robinson is so important, because we don't know what that's going to look like. He's going to play, obviously. His hand's banged up. It's not going to affect his shooting. We know that.
Well, he should do the granny shot.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But can he
Now's
grab?
the time to start, Tim.
I'm wondering, can he grab the ball with two hands and secure it? Right? Can he catch a lob? So we'll see. But, but he had 10 offensive rebounds, I believe, in a game against them. Like, major part against this team, you better be able to get second chances because their initial defense is so good. So think of the number of possessions and games that Mitchell Robinson has flipped a game in an 8-minute stretch because of the way he has demoralized the team because they can't secure a defensive rebound. He's a big factor in this series. If he's limited because of the injury in any way where his minutes come down, that's a big blow to the Knicks.
And the other thing I worry about with the Spurs is that De'Aaron Fox was limited very clearly the last round against the Thunder.
Yeah.
They got through it. They won it with Fox looking like Mike Conley. He looked older. He just didn't. Not as quick. And then you match that up end-game situations. If it's close down the stretch, Jalen Brunson is better than anybody in those clutch time moments.
I think the one thing about Jalen Brunson, that's to your point, I think we get close finishes, right? So I think they won't all be.
God, please, not all blowouts.
No. Maybe you get one either way that's not compelling in the fourth quarter. I don't know, maybe. I think we're going to get 3, 4, maybe more really close finishes where 5 minutes to go, you don't know who's going to win the game. And you've got Jalen Brunson on your team. That gives the Knicks great confidence because he plays a grounded game. So it's more difficult, number one, to wear him out. He's not exploding off the floor to shoot deep jump shots where you're using your legs the entire game. He plays a grounded game. It's balance, it's footwork, it's strength, it's IQ, and it's touch. That's how he gets you. And it's very difficult to get him off his spots. And we also know as he goes up to shoot that ball, very few players in this league are more certain of the outcome in those moments than Jalen Brunson is. There's no self-doubt whatsoever. So just get them into a one-possession game with 5 minutes to go. That's what the Knicks feel like. They've got the guy that can settle matters if we're in that position.
And I mean, and ultimately, like you talk about shooting, we talk about rebounding with Brunson. SGA, his efficiency cratered in that 7-game series against the Spurs.
Really did.
Forced him out of the paint, didn't get to the line as often, turned him into a mid-range shooter. They basically turned his shot distribution.
And the other thing was his quick hitters weren't there. So he's so used to just coming up the floor, quick brush screen, and now he's got this one-on-one, go, stop, pull-up jumper.
And then Wemby's there now.
8 seconds are off the clock. That's not what was happening in that last series. The Spurs are so good with their initial defense. He wasn't getting the quick hitter. Now he was giving it up, and without as many ball handlers on the floor for them because guys were out, he was getting the ball back a second time, 7 on the clock. Now you got to go again. That is incredibly exhausting. I thought he got worn down in each of those games. He was unbelievable in Game 7 with his tough shot making, but from 55% in the regular season to 40%, that for a player with that kind of usage rate, you've basically won the series right there. If you're the Spurs, that's going to be their task in trying to do that to Jalen Brunson. See if they can accomplish it. They're a great team. Both of these teams equally good on both ends of the floor. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to get going.
I can't wait, Tim. I'm so excited.
Thanks.
Can't wait to hear you on the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Anytime.